Hey, I'm sitting here at a cafe and decided that I would do a live video to address some of the questions that I have been getting in regards to coming to Ghana. This is going to be a quick video. It's not going to be a long one. I do have more live stream videos to be interviewing people like I did with the last video that was on moving to Ghana. I have had a lot of people who really found it to be very helpful and very informative. And there are others who want more information about different fields of interest, different business opportunities, different careers, different areas of interest. So I definitely do have other things in store for you to see in the future. But for now, today, I wanted to just answer some quick questions. I will go through the comments as they come along. So you'll see my eyes shifting as I read some of the comments that come on the screen. I One of the questions that, hello, Brandy. Hello, Frederick. Is it Chirima? Frederick Chirima. Hello, how are you? So it is afternoon here in Ghana right now. And one of the questions I keep getting from people, particularly from the African American community, is how do I come to Ghana? It may seem like a very basic question, but for somebody who has never left the country, it's understandable that that would be the question. There's a lot of people who don't know the basic things that are needed to take the steps to travel outside of the country, because there are a lot of Americans who don't ever leave the United States and travel, usually only travel within the US. Maybe that's you, maybe it's not. It's the same as people, I mean, there's people I've met in Canada who also haven't left Canada either. Same with the UK, but not as likely in the UK because of the Europe, how close Europe is, the proximity. People tend to travel a lot through Europe when they're in the UK. But anyway, the first step is you need a passport. And I know that may seem obvious to many of you, but there are people out there who don't know that. I had someone who asked that question, so I just wanted to address it, that yes, you need a passport from your home country before you can travel here, because I did have someone who had sent me an email asking if they could simply go and get a Ghana passport. And I think this largely was because of the fact that there was a story on CNN recently that was a report as a result of the memorial that was held for George Floyd and the other African Americans who have been killed, unarmed people killed by law enforcement. And so there was a memorial in Ghana, and the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture had said that Ghana had opened its arms and was welcoming people from the US to get out of situations that you may be in, that Ghana can be home for you. And so there's been a lot of people who are asking, how can I make Ghana home? How can I come there? A lot of people who are feeling a lot of pressure and feel that they need to escape and go somewhere else. So I had someone asking if they could get a Ghana passport, and the answer is, if you are not a Ghanaian, no, you cannot get a passport. You would have to travel on your own country's passport. So if you're an American, you have to travel on a US passport. Unfortunately, a lot of passport offices in countries around the world have suspended services because of COVID-19. But if you can start preparing and planning ahead of time before once borders start to open again, then you've got your plans in place of what you're going to do step by step, rather than just jumping in. And I know that for a lot of people, they feel the stress and the pressure, and they want to leave. But make sure you plan it out well. Don't just jump and leap and make it an escape. Make sure that it's something you actually really want to do. Because moving to another country really is not easy, because you have culture differences, system differences that you have to adjust to. And you have to be willing to do that, because it's not a situation where you're going to leave where you are and it's going to be the same circumstances as far as how things operate in another country, or in Ghana, since I'm speaking of Ghana right now. So getting a passport, you need to get a passport to travel, and then you need a visa. So some people don't know that you need a travel visa to come to Ghana. Now, there's a large number of countries. You can check by Googling your country, and if you need a visa to travel to Ghana. For the US, Canada, UK, I know you need a visa to come to Ghana. And you can get that through the Ghana embassy, Ghana consulate in your country. You can Google it and find where it is located. I know in the U.S. it's located in Washington, D.C., as well as in New York City. But both offices have suspended services during this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. But you can find their website and you can get information ahead of time before they open so that you can get yourself prepared on what you need to do to get your visa to travel to Ghana. The other thing is there's a lot of people who don't know that you do need to get a yellow fever vaccination shot. That is a requirement to come to Ghana. So if you are not willing to do that, you would not be allowed to travel into the country. I know that there have been special circumstances depending on people's specific health conditions, and you would need a medical certificate for something like that. But you do need to confirm that with the embassy. But what I do know is that a yellow fever vaccination shot is a requirement to come to Ghana. There are other recommended medicines that people take. So, for example, malaria is a problem in Ghana. There's a high likelihood that people who have lived in the country for long periods of time get exposed to malaria because mosquitoes are the ones that mosquito bites, they transfer the disease. And so, there's an airplane passing. I'm like, I hope that's not a commercial flight. 'Cause I know it's not a commercial flight. There's only cargo planes coming and going, and then special flights arranged for repatriation flights for people going back to their country who are stranded. So I was saying there are other medicines. I was saying malaria. Some people choose to take malaria pills before they come. You have to start taking them before you come, so your body helps to develop the immunity, and then you take the malaria pills, and then it helps you. So while you're in the country, you're also taking those malaria medications to keep you boosted and healthy so that you don't get it while you're in the country. Now, if you decide to move to Ghana and live in the country, it's not advisable, doctors do not advise that you continue taking malaria pills because it's not a drug that you're supposed to be taking for the rest of your life. So it's not something that if you decide I'm moving to Ghana, you shouldn't be taking those malaria pills for the rest of your life because it actually is not good for you to be taking it. It's like taking antibiotics forever. It's only supposed to be for a short period of time, not long term. So a lot of people, when they're in the country for more than an extended period of time, if they're going to be in the country more than 6 months or something, a lot of people are not always advised to continue taking it. So that's the other thing. Also, people have been asking about jobs. People are asking about job opportunities because I had someone who had sent me a message saying that, things are tough in the U.S. right now and that they're not in the best place and that they have children that they're going to be bringing to the country, and they wanted to know if there were support services in Ghana to help support them in their move to Ghana with children, and they have a financial situation. I will tell you right now, there's not financial support that will come with you deciding to move to Ghana with children, or if you have financial challenges where you're living, there's not a fund of money to be giving out to people who've decided to move to Ghana. That does not exist. Ghana is still a developing country. As much as it is one of the countries with the fastest growing economies in the world and with amazing opportunities for business and for development, it is also still classified as a developing country. It's a middle income country, developing country. So you should be prepared financially and not expect that there are support systems from the government financially. There was an article that was released by some website that was saying that Ghana is offering free money. Hello, good afternoon, The Shepherd. Foreign accent, hello, thanks for tuning in. As I said, I'm going to keep on shifting my eyes because I'm reading the comments that are popping up. The Shepherd says, which are the schools if you have young children? Just one second, let me get to that. So there's not a support system. So you shouldn't expect that there's a support system when you come. Ghana has been affected by COVID-19 like everyone else in the world. The economy is been really, really detonated by the fact that borders have been closed, supply chains have been disrupted, companies are losing money, companies have had to let people go. So even when the borders do open, if you decide that you want to come and move to Ghana, you have to also understand that the situation is not going to be one that you can just jump in and expect that you're going to get a job very easily. Also, remember that jobs that are here, the income level is not going to be the exact same as what you were getting where you live now. The income, the salaries are significantly lower. They are paid in the local currency, so you can't expect that you will be making the same amount of money. Now, that possibility is there if you work for a multinational company. So, for instance, for example, I knew someone who was working for IBM. He worked with IBM in the US and then he moved to Ghana and IBM transferred him. And so he was still getting his US dollar salary working for IBM in Ghana. And then he was able to sustain, the lifestyle he wanted to sustain with the income he was getting. There's someone else who was working for a company. Can't remember the name of the company, but anyway, the company was in the US. They got transferred to Ghana and they were still getting their same salary. And then there's someone I knew who works in education. She was offered the job while she was in the UK. And when she was offered the job, she negotiated to get her salary in her British pounds still. So when she came, she was still earning pounds. So if you're coming to Ghana, the likelihood of you getting paid in your own currency from the country you're coming from is higher if you negotiate for your job before you leave. I mentioned this in my book. I've mentioned before I wrote a book called Your Essential Guide on Moving to Ghana. I give you some basic tips on things that you need to know and understand before you decide to move to Ghana. It is available on Amazon. Again, it's called Your Essential Guide on Moving to Ghana, the second edition. It's available on Amazon in digital as well as hard copy. One of the great resources you can use to look for work from abroad is LinkedIn. There's a lot of companies in Ghana that do list job openings on LinkedIn. Adrina Monet, hello. Ray Collier, hello. Thanks for tuning in. So LinkedIn is a great resource to look for jobs. I've said this multiple times. Some of the messages that I get from people who send me messages on my email asking me about, where to look for work. Google is your friend. Google is your friend. I know it can be scary because you're not sure which ones are legitimate, which websites are not, which is why I usually recommend LinkedIn because it is a site that gives you it's trusted first of all, and it gives you a lot of information, and you can network there, you can connect with people because we all know as adults that not all jobs are posted. Sometimes it comes through networking and through talking to people, so that's a very important thing to remember is networking virtually to find out about opportunities and find out about which fields are in demand. So I also always say that it's best that you take a trip first rather than just jump in and move. I do know that there are some people who want to just make the move, and I don't fault you for that at all. If you're ready to take the risk and jump in, go right ahead. But there are people who need to make the trip, assess the environment, check it out, and see if it's somewhere that they would want to be living. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on those things. There's a lot that is in the works with respect to diaspora engagement. Some of you may know that I worked with Year of Return last year, and this year I'm working with Beyond the Return, which is a 10-year initiative. Beyond the Return is a 10-year initiative that is a decade of African Renaissance, and it's all about staying connected, building those bridges between Africa and the diaspora, Ghana and the diaspora, and there are plans in place, things under development that I will talk about once those things are made public. But there are things under development for the diaspora community, and it's really exciting. It'll be really exciting to share when all of that unfolds. But I just wanted to let you know that there are plans in place for the diaspora community. Good morning, Otis. It is afternoon for me here now. I am at this place, Vita E Cafe, which is a cafe franchise. I think they're out of South Africa. That they have a few locations in Ghana, and I like to go there. And this is my cafe mocha that I'm about to have. I'm sitting on their upstairs patio in their Osu location. Um, it's a nice sunny day, good social distancing. People are like, I don't know, 15, 20 meters away from me, so I'm pretty far. I had my mask on and I just took it off because I'm really far from everybody, and the wind is blowing, the breeze is blowing. So, but once I finish this video, I'll be putting my mask back on because masks are required here right now. Um, the shepherd asked, how is security in Ghana and crime? Okay, so before I answer that question, there was someone who asked earlier about, I think it was you, the shepherd, about children in schools. A lot of schools here, a lot of people who come from abroad usually private schools, because private schools have a tendency to have the curriculums that are similar to what they want their children to have, if they were wanting their children to have curriculums similar to US or UK curriculums. So there are private schools that have a British system, private schools that have an American system. I think there's a couple that have Canadian schools, and so they do it in a way so that the students learn things that would help them once they're ready to take their tests to go to schools abroad. So some of these people, their parents want them to go to school abroad. So for instance, in the US, you take SAT tests to go to university colleges. Canada, we don't do SAT tests. They just do it based on your grades, how you did in school, if you did clubs, volunteer work, that kind of stuff, the essay you write for the school. We don't do SAT tests in Canada for going to university and college, but in the U.S. they do. So if you're a person who has your kids in Ghana and you want your kids to go to university in the U.S., you might want them to be at a school that has a U.S. curriculum, so that they're preparing themselves to do those SAT tests, so that they can get into those schools that they want to get into. So that's an example of what some people want to do. In my book, Your Essential Guide on Moving to Ghana, I actually list some names of schools in there and some phone numbers and email addresses in the back resource section of the book. If you wanted to get some suggestions, they're there. If you have special needs children, there's not very many options. There is one that is in East Legon called Multi Kids, and they are they handle kids of all levels and all special needs, as far as I know. So I'm thinking one of these days I should probably go there so I can check it out and show you guys who maybe have children who have special needs, and you may want to know where you would take them if you brought them to Ghana. So the question on how is security and crime, I don't know the statistics. I didn't look it up. I just popped up my phone right now to do this quick video. But I know that Ghana is one of the safer countries. It was actually listed in 2019 as the fourth most peaceful nation in Africa. The crime level is not very high from what I remember reading, but I don't want to quote anything specific. But I do remember reading the crime levels aren't very high, but there is a problem with theft of electronics. So like some of you may have seen on this channel, I talked about my cell phone being stolen. Cell phones are a highly stolen item. People steal them and then they wipe them and resell them. Even when you have a password on it, these people know how to crack them and wipe them. So cell phones, so be careful with your phone. Laptops are something that people steal as well, tablets. So those kinds of electronics, like a lot of petty theft type of crime, is an issue in Ghana. So as far as violent crime, there's not a lot compared to some other countries on the continent. There's a fly. Some other countries on the continent. So it's pretty safe. I mean, I remember I was with somebody who was from Kenya who was here with me, and I was walking around, and she was surprised that I could walk around late at night, because she was saying that, where she is in Kenya, you can't really walk around as a woman late at night because, there's a fear that something can happen. So there is a level of safety here that is better than in a lot of other countries in West Africa. I'll tell you, it's safer walking around in Ghana than it is in a lot of cities in the United States. Okay, let me read some comments. Otis says, we're coming with a group of 8 in late September. This is a good time. Also, do a hotel or Airbnb? We're coming from Houston, Texas, and we want to come sooner, but COVID killed so many people's trips. And then Hyacinth says, you look beautiful. Do you think the frontiers will open by August? Okay. As far as border openings, I don't know. I know that the ECOWAS countries, which are the economic, the West African countries, so Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, Ivory Coast, Benin, Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone. So all the countries that are in West Africa is ECOWAS. And they had a meeting recently, and I know there's discussions about slow phases of opening borders. I don't have any definite answers. I've heard rumors of everything from July to September, and these are all rumors. But a particular article that I read this morning said that the leaders of some of these nations have said that they want to do an early July opening only within West African countries first, as a slow phased opening, like land borders, then flying between the West African countries before opening up internationally. So that one that I saw had talked about, the article I saw had international listed as late August in the article. I'm not saying that, that's what the article said. But for me, I'm just like, the way that it has been around the world, I know the president's just going to make the decision based on looking at the numbers, looking at the risks. Those are all things that most countries are going to take into account before they open the borders. So I honestly don't know when the borders will open. Now, for the question from the person from Texas, hotel or Airbnb, I would say it all depends. I think Airbnb, you can get more value for your money when you have a lot of people, because there's people who rent out like a whole house, and you have a lot of people and it's less expensive. But then with hotels, you get everything from the room service to the regular cleaning, all that kind of stuff with a hotel. But the hotels are quite expensive in Accra, especially if you stay in some of the 5-star ones, 4 and 5-star ones. They can be quite expensive. So I think you probably would get a better deal doing Airbnb places. And now, because of COVID-19, there's a lot of people reducing their prices. So you might even be able to get a good deal with some of the hotels, and then even some of the Airbnb hosts may have be lowering their prices as well, because it's better to have somebody than have nothing at all and have it be empty, right? Let me see, any other questions? Someone says, Adrina says, GH is definitely safer than many places in the States. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely safer. And there's been a lot of people I've met from the African American community who've moved to Ghana who've said the same thing. They've said that they feel much safer walking around in Ghana than they do walking around parts of the U.S. where they live. So, and the U.S. has easy access to guns, which makes it a scary thing. That's largely, the Constitution has the right to bear arms, so it makes it, whether it's somebody's carrying legal or illegal arms, it's easier to access, to get those kinds of things in the U.S. than it is in Ghana, from what I know. So, I'm looking to see if there's any other questions before I decide to sign off. So there are plans in place for the diaspora community in the future. And as I said, Beyond the Return is a 10-year initiative. So for 10 years, engaging with the diaspora, I'm sure something will happen beyond that. But for now, this is an initial process of helping to connect and stay connected and build and develop and grow. So I just wanted to come and talk to you for a few minutes today about that, to give you some basics based on some of the questions I've been getting in my inbox, because I get these questions repeatedly. For some of you, you may know this already, so this video may not be useful for you, but for those who keep asking me the simple questions over and over again, I thought it was important to address, because if one person is asking, or two people, or whatever, there's that one person represents maybe another 10 people who want to know the answers to those questions as well. I think that's it for today. Coming up on Sunday, I'm going to be doing a live stream video to promote a Black author. He is writing children's books, and I think that it's fantastic that we have more literature for young people. When I was growing up, it was hard to find books with black kids in those books, and now we're seeing that there's a lot more people who are doing books for children that are geared towards the black community. So I want to give a spotlight to this gentleman of what he's doing. So you can check out his book. If you have kids, you may want to buy it. He is based out of the US. There's another author who I am negotiating talking to. He has not confirmed yet, and he's a Ghanaian author, because I wanted to have the two perspectives, one Ghanaian author and one American author who can talk about writing books that are geared towards black children. So, and incorporating culture and different things that make children see themselves in these books. So that's it for today. I don't see any more questions popping up for me to answer. So I am going to sign off. I appreciate you taking some time to watch today, and yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned. And if there's something you want to see, please put them in the comments.